Good evening. This is Rudy Giuliani with America's Mayor Live. We are here in a couple of miles outside of Gotham and Gomorrah, and which is otherwise known as Washington, D.C., because it is filled with crime now. It is a more dangerous city than New York by far. And so actually, when we go back to New York, hopefully tomorrow or toward New York, we will be going toward a safer environment. And second, of course, this is also the worldwide center of the biggest political corruption scandal, at least in American history, which is unfolding despite the fierce, ridiculous, absurd pyrotechnics of the crooked Democratic Party, led by the guy that I made a complete fool out of during the J6 deposition, Congressman Raskin. Let's see if they'll release that tape about whether it's illegal to come up with novel legal theories or disagree with Supreme Court opinions. He made such a fool out of himself, he got up and left. This is not exactly a big brain operating there. But he wants me to testify. Can I bring all my evidence? I got more than you have. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. I did watch a good deal of the testimony today, more than I usually get to watch. I don't know why, but I had a little more time. And I must say, I agree with the Republican strategy. I understand the confusion. I do think a few things could have been done by the majority to alleviate the confusion the Democrats caused, which has some momentary benefits for them, I would say. So here's what happened. The Republicans had a hearing today, which I would describe, it should have been described as a plate setter, an overview, an introduction. You do this sometimes in an opening statement at a trial. I have to attribute it to their lack of really being superb, excellent, very well-trained trial lawyers, because this does happen at trials a lot, and if you're not careful, juries will get confused with the prosecution. They called witnesses who were not fact witnesses. In other words, the witnesses knew nothing about the case directly. They were experts. The theory, I think, was to set the ground rules and the overview for the hearings, to explain what an impeachment is, to explain the evidence that's necessary, to explain that they have a quantum of evidence that justifies going forward with the hearing, which is really a minimum amount of evidence, that part. And the Democrats, I will say, plus to them on tactics, jumped on it immediately and made it appear as if there are no fact witnesses. Like, how can you possibly start an impeachment and not call at least 3 or 4 people that can show that a crime was committed here? Not even one. They did go through prior impeachments and showed that, for example, when they proceeded with Trump the first time, if I recall correctly, they did call a couple of so-called fact witnesses. Now, remember, that's a bit of a misnomer in Trump's case, because it's now been proven that the facts that they proved at the original grand jury proceeding were totally false and made up by a combination of Hillary Clinton's money and Shifty Schiff's lies. Now, unequivocally false. I mean, there's not even a doubt about it now. But in any event, they did call fact witnesses, and they called a couple of expert witnesses. I do think at Clinton's they did not. They just called set-up witnesses, no fact witnesses. And of course, no one criticized because he's a Democrat, and it was well understood that that's what it was. It was setting the plate. So that's the problem with the first day. People who want to will walk away, and all of the communist media will say, Republicans had their big day, and they couldn't produce a single witness that gave any evidence that Joe Biden, committed a crime. It's true. They didn't produce any witness who did that, and they did it on purpose. They should have given an extensive explanation at the beginning of their strategy. They should have explained, this is what we're doing. We're doing it on purpose. We want you to stay away from that for a moment. We want you to learn what's necessary so that when you view it all, you have a context in which to put it, a fair context, which is like was done, and you can pick two impeachment proceedings where it was done. There are two, whereas there are two where it was done the other way. Professor Turley surprised them and me by opining that there is not enough evidence at this point to impeach, when I think I've heard him on television say there is. I think. I may be wrong. If I'm wrong, Professor Turley, I apologize. But I think he came pretty close on Fox to saying there's enough evidence to impeach. I do know the Republicans who called you were shocked at what you opined. You could have at least said, at this point, I'm not going to give an opinion on that because I'm not here for that reason. And that would have helped the explanation of what was going on. But look, not everybody gives not the right testimony, but comes up with the right combination of words every time. His testimony was actually, when viewed fairly, devastating. But that's what happened today. And our friend Raskin, with whom I've had encounters in the past, all of which I'm looking forward to a rematch, last time he ran out. See if I can get him to run out again. See, I'm good at that. I got congressmen to confess on a witness stand. I have, every attempt I've made at prosecuting a congressman, I convicted them. I consider them the easiest people to cross-examine because they're the biggest liars you're ever going to meet. Easiest people to prosecute because they really do commit the crimes you charge them with. It would be interesting to be a witness. I do not know tactically if it would be a good thing or a bad thing for the Republican point of view. I think it'd be a good thing because all I do is possess evidence of both direct and circumstantial evidence of Joe Biden's overwhelming guilt, which I had long before even the hard drive appeared. Then corroborated by the hard drive. I also don't have with me, because I'm in Washington, my little chart of how often we've been right and how often they've been wrong. Now I'm talking about myself and Donald Trump. Just a reminder, for 4 years or 3 years, we told you there was no Russian collusion. They spent $40 million telling you there was Russian collusion. It was definitively determined by 4 different groups of investigators, eventually conceded by them, that there not only was no Russian collusion, we were right, they were lying, but they were paying for the lie, which makes them like really craven criminals, right? The same thing with Ukraine. They claim forever that there was no involvement with Ukraine, that Joe had no involvement in the Ukraine. There was no bribery. There was no bribery in the Ukraine, all of that. And of course, then it came out that when the hard drive appeared, that they were lying about the Ukraine, and I was telling the truth. That's what, 2-0 now? Two times Giuliani and Trump are telling the truth. 2 times all the Democrats you're watching today were lying, defrauding, concealing, acting like the criminals that they are and proven to be. They made up the phony story of the quid pro quo with the president of Ukraine that Trump had. They used it for an impeachment. We proved with the hard drive that was completely untrue, and in fact was just a mirror image of exactly what Biden did with the former president of Ukraine when he extorted him to get rid of the prosecutor. So that's 3 times we were telling the truth, and they were lying. We could go on and on. It comes out about 5-0 right now, and there are a couple pending. For example, the phony election of 2020. Now, we may have already won that with the concealment of the hard drive, which in and of itself makes the 2020 election a Democrat fraud, aided by some of the most sinister and traitorous intelligence agents in history who fixed an election on purpose. But that one, that one just gets you off the point a bit. The point that I'm trying to make is our record so far is pristine. It's about five telling the truth for Giuliani, Trump, lying for all the Democrats that you see on television all the time, who become famous for lying and then have to actually be retired. Like, for example, this young squirt from New York, Goldman, who was a mediocre assistant U.S. attorney and a pretty damn lousy lawyer every time he talks. This Goldman guy now is the liar of the day, taking over for Shifty Schiff and Swalwell. He actually does the work of two, but he's not as smart as they are, so he gets into more trouble. So before any of this happened, today added additional evidence that nobody had focused on this way before with this, I don't know if there's a front page from the Post or a picture, but it sort of summarizes it really nicely. And it says, how Hunter monetized. There's the family asset, right? There we go. So you know that every wealthy business or family, right?
Over here too for our getter friends.
Every wealthy family or business, right, has Ford invented the car and it made the family wealthy. Vanderbilt did the railroads, made the family wealthy. Gates did whatever. And what did Gates do? Climate change or? Well, he made people wealthy. Well, anybody who made people. Yeah, Bill Gates. I forgot what he originally did, but he's into climate change now. Microsoft. Well, at least it was Microsoft, which spies on everyone. Microsoft, but now he's into let's have less people. We got too many people on Earth. He's backing off climate change as an emergency. Have you noticed that? We'll get into that later. That's a whole different episode. They're all backing off climate change big time. Gates just made a statement that it's not an emergency. Big change, you'll see. I mean, these people are opportunistic liars. They go with how they can get money. So this how monetize the family asset comes again from the hard drive I supplied them. Gee, I would like to get called to get credit for the fact that it was me, not the Post, that revealed the hard drive. The Post should occasionally point out they got it from me. So, it would only be, how do you say, classy if they did it. Fox could do that too, but Fox doesn't mention me at all. They might not even be on the air if it wasn't for me. But the loyalty? No. Now they're woke, and that's it, boy. They're woke. So Joe did explain how the family became wealthy from being just a coal. Remember Joe explaining that his family was very poor. He came from a coal mining family. He came from generations of coal miners, and he was the first to go to college in his family. So how does a guy like that, who's never had a job but you, the taxpayer, paying him, how does he become worth 30, 40, 50, could be 100 million? Because he had a business, and it was a very successful business. And Hunter explains how he monetized it. He sold his father. Yes. Now, his father wasn't sold as a slave. His father was sold from the point of view of his two public offices, United States Senator, which he got very young, and he began selling them in trailer parks to little creeps with his creepy little brothers for a little bit of money. Then they happened on the MBNA Bank where they got a job for Hunter. Not sure they remember Hunter at the bank. He didn't show up very much for this job. But the senator then became known as Senator MBNA. because he was the only Democrat who voted for banking interests, the only one. And it was quite clear he was getting paid off by them. But it was such little chicken shit that, nobody really paid much attention. He was just one of the many little minor crooked senators, sort of the way Menendez developed. You got a group of them like that. They begin taking a little here, a little there, a little here, a little there. All of a sudden, they become world-class crooks. So when he moved up and some real opportunities presented himself, when Obama put him in positions to make a fortune, he took advantage of it. And Obama, of course, just watched, and who knows what he did, but he certainly watched and enabled and enjoyed as he pulled in money from Iraq for his brother James, money from Ukraine for Hunter, money from China for everybody. And as the main bag man says, this is a June 6, 2017 text from Hunter. So this is in his words. It's plain effing English. Why in God's effing name would I give this marginal bully the keys to my family's only asset? Who was the only asset? Joe Biden. Was Joe Biden an asset because he was left back in the third grade or cheated in law school or didn't deserve a law degree because he plagiarized and was considered the dumbest man in the Senate? No. Joe was an asset because more than most, he would sell out the United States and his public office for huge amounts of money. So that's what they sold. That's how they became fabulously wealthy, selling his office, selling you out, otherwise known as bribery. They do outline in this particular release from the committee $20 million in just a short period of time from 7 countries, which Hunter Biden evaded tax payments on, and where it was fixed so that the statute of limitations have run on that, so he'll never have to be accountable for that. And then come to the conclusion from the evidence here that the evidence shows a pattern of Hunter Biden creating for-profit entities to shield at least $20 million from foreign sources, from taxes, and hide the trail of payments that led to members of the Biden family. This is just one additional piece of evidence that came out today. Now, this was not presented at the hearing because the hearing was not about that. That's going to be done later, but the Democrats took advantage of that to make it appear as if there's no evidence, which the Republicans rebutted. I don't know if they didn't rebut it effectively enough, or it's just a question of it's treated so unfairly, and the imbalance is so great. The Republicans can't win even when they win. I don't know. I can't tell you the difference there. But that is the way. That's the way it comes off. There was another release today showing how James Biden came to the rescue of Hunter when Hunter needed millions of dollars quickly, which shows you how they share their money, how the criminal enterprise, the RICO enterprise, shares its money. That was in December of 2018. Hunter, despite the fact that he had just collected a couple of million from China, had run out of money because he had given half of it to his father. We're going to remind you of that in a minute. And he tells his uncle that millions are gone now, and his uncle sends him a text saying, "This can work. You need a safe harbor. I'll work with your father alone. We'll work it out," which gives you an idea of how they share the money. Right? This is a communal enterprise. This is a family business known as bribery, corruption, selling out the United States of America. And when we're dealing with China, one could call it treason. Nice family enterprise, huh? Defended with great zeal by all those crooked Democrats. To defend them, you got to be crooked. I'm sorry. You got to be crooked. Before we go with a little analysis of the evidence that doesn't exist against Joe Biden, which there is so much of, I had to spend an hour just summarizing it, just like trying to get it down to 10 quickies. What about the debate last night? Man, I call it the single-digit debate because there wasn't a person on the stage with more than 9%. Now, it could be that somebody won because somebody lost. See, nobody really won the debate. It becomes a process of elimination. The others were so bad, and you just were not terrible. Now, that would go to Scott, really. Tim Scott was good. And more than that, Tim probably was good, not just a process of elimination. He didn't lose his temper stupidly. He did a minimum amount of talking over other people. When he did make his points that he was angry about, he made them effectively, so you got it. Ms. Haley is really angry about something. It seems to me that she should calm it down because sometimes you can't even understand what she's saying. She gets so angry. And man, that Vivek gets under her skin. Whoa, she doesn't like Vivek. Whoop! Every time she talks at him, she's yelling. She begins the conversation at a very high decibel level. Oh! It doesn't begin like, now, Vivek or Mr. Ramaswamy, it begins, she just doesn't like him. And she doesn't like Scott. And Scott was a terrible senator, according to her. Did you know that, Ted?
Oh, all of a sudden they're running
that,
against each other.
Do you have any idea who appointed Scott?
Oh, no.
Tell me.
Governor Nikki
ahead.
Haley.
Man, she's a terrible appointer. That's what you should come back with. I mean,
That's fascinating.
I should be debating, right? Because I'm a little sharper. If that were me, I'd have said,
What?
you know what it really reflects on? It reflects on the person who appointed me, who has absolutely no judgment for picking people, Nikki Haley.
That would have been funny. Man, serious note, maybe not as important.
Do you get what phonies they are and why people don't like them? Imagine attacking the guy you appointed. Did she forget, or did she think she could fool people? Or is she willing to admit she made a mistake? Or does it not matter because they just say whatever's convenient because they're such damn liars? That's what I found out is the case. I have found in my professional career as a lawyer that the best people to prosecute are politicians. Without any doubt, the best people to cross-examine are politicians because they lie with impunity. You see it with Biden. Biden will tell a lie and not even know he's doing it. Now imagine if you got the proof right there and you can shove it down his stupid face. You know what happens? They eventually crack up because they also are bullies used to pushing people around. And when they have a real cross-examiner that's working at 3 to 4 times their IQ level and has power over them, they fall apart. At least each one I ever examined did. I hope I get a chance to do a few more just to show you how it's done. We could leave it as an example to young lawyers as to how to cross-examine and break down lifetime crooks like Joe Biden. Daniel McCarthy said they all made themselves look like reality TV wannabes just by showing up. I told you it was the single-digit debate. And the worst of all, the worst line of all was Chris Christie with Donald Duck. And it was the stupidest delivered line. He contorted that rather strange-looking face he has anyway, and he contorted it all up to try to act funny. I heard that any number of children had to run out of the room the minute he did that. And then when he ended up with the Donald Duck thing, was there any person in America that didn't know he was going to say that?
And that's what he closed with, right?
Oh, yeah,
there.
Donald Duck. You'll be known as Donald Duck. And you want to be president? Jesus, you close down all the bridges in America if you become president, right? Who knows? If he gets angry at us, he'll close our bridge down.
Why'd you close the George Washington Bridge, Chris? Why'd you close the bridge? What are you doing?
I didn't do it. The other people who went to jail did it. I didn't do it. People who went to jail did it. People who went to jail did it. They went to jail. I didn't have to go to jail. Not me. I didn't have to go to jail.
Strange. What a strange campaign he's run.
Worst thing in the world is, that's why he shouldn't be president.
Mayor, what would...
There are a lot of bridges you can close down in America if you get mad. Like if he gets mad, he could figure out where, now with that geo technology, he could find out where his enemies are and close down bridges all over the place.
Yeah.
Close down that bridge. Close down that bridge.
Ruin their morning. Mayor, what would you do? Pre-debate prep. You're getting out there. You're a candidate. What would you do if you get out there, and every other candidate, you get out there, you have your nice red tie or burgundy tie on. You get up there, and every single other person there has a red tie on. What do you do?
I either wait for the first interruption and change ties, or
No,
I
it's
make
pre-debate. The debate hasn't started yet, so you have some time if you wanted to go.
Let's say it's in the middle of the debate and I realize it. Maybe I make a deal out of it. Excuse me, I'm going to go backstage and change my tie. And I come back. I come with a blue tie on. You know why I do it? Maybe some people would look in because there was a laugh. You know what I told Huckabee once when we were debating 11 times in the 07, 08 season?
You did 11?
Yeah, we did 11 debates.
Wait. You did 11 debates.
I think it was 11, yeah.
There's many more I haven't seen then. I've only seen
A lot of
3
them
or
are just small ones and little ones.
No, I got to see them though. I got to find them.
I said to Huck, you better not drop out. He said, why? I'm not going to drop out. I said, because the only reason I stay awake during these debates is because you tell jokes.
That's good. Some of the most humorous lines in debate. I mean, Ronald Reagan. Someone was accusing him of being, was it too young?
Oh,
what was that line?
Mondale,
what am I thinking here? Classic moment.
I won't use your inexperience against you. I won't use your youth and inexperience against you.
Yeah.
When they were using his age against him.
That was funny. That was a good line.
So 7 Republican candidates went off into the darkness last night.
Can we do rapid fire? Can I name the candidates and you give me your reaction? Or does that get a little dangerous?
No, we don't even. Why name them? People don't even know who they are. Oh, you want to name them? Yeah.
Burgum, Doug Burgum.
Who?
Okay. Okay. Mike Pence.
Oh my God. He was on the end because I guess he's down to 2%. And he was like yelling to try to get back in. And I was just saying, next time, Mike, you got to take a breakthrough here. Mike needs a breakthrough. Maybe he should have his wife get up and do the debating for him. She used to appear with him all the time, and it looked like she really wanted to talk. So maybe she should do the debating for him. But he was terrible. He was just positively, the president calls DeSantis sanctimonious. But
sanctimonious.
Pence is much more sanctimonious.
That's right.
More. Okay, next one.
Is he auditioning for the ambassador of Ukraine to the United States? I didn't know if he was in the presidential race. Right? Like it almost like this guy won. Okay. Nikki Haley.
She has got to get some counseling about Vivek. She's got to get some
something
counseling
there.
so she can be on the same stage with Vivek and not lose her, go crazy.
Tim Scott.
She loses all rationality.
She did. She took some personal hits against Vivek. Some people will look at that as tough. Some people probably like that. Others may have thought low blow.
No,
she said she was dumber every time she heard Vivek speak.
That was horribly. that got an audible in the crowd.
Yeah, that was mean-spirited.
I'm talking about the loss of temper. She loses the temper with Vivek. I mean, the others get angry and they do a game. You don't get the feeling the others have like a personal thing going on. But there you get a feeling he really gets under her skin. But in any event, okay.
Let's go. Stay in South Carolina. Tim Scott.
I think he did well. I thought Tim, given the chaotic nature of the debate, was the only one to remain calm, professional, and get his point across every once in a while. When he could get through all the yelling and screaming at each other and talking over each other.
Chris Christie.
Worst. Particularly with the Donald Duck remark.
Vivek Ramaswamy.
Not as good as the first time, largely because he got drowned out.
They knew they were targeting him more this time.
Yeah, but he couldn't crack through as well as he did before. The first time he really cracked through, and maybe it was the first impression. I mean, he probably did second best after Scott, but really far behind second best.
And Ron DeSantis.
Not bad. Not bad. I'm sorry.
Not bad. No,
not
that's
bad.
But is that the sort of response that he would want? Because I think you're not alone, right? That's a lot of people.
Unlike Christie, who made an idiot out of himself, and Haley, who was way too. I mean, she's also one you wondered if she's getting money from Ukraine. I mean, you hear Ukraine, and she and Pence go like bonkers nuts. And there's an article
They had their
in the
own little
newspaper-
election within
there's
the
an article
campaign
in
within the
when
campaign.
Vivek brought that up. Remember, I said that's a good point.
Yeah, what?
Vivek merely said not to be against Ukraine, but remember, it's a corrupt government.
Yep.
Well, there's an article in the paper that Zelensky has gotten rid of 7 of his ministers for corruption.
You know what that means?
That means the whole government. He got rid of the whole. Imagine
It's a minister. What's a minister over there? Is that like a cabinet secretary?
Yeah, imagine if a
7
president,
cabinet secretary.
Trump or Biden announced, I just got rid of 7 of my cabinet members
For corruption.
for
7?
corruption. I mean, Biden probably should, but
Yeah.
I mean, like they've been there for a while.
Yeah.
they must have been doing a lot of corruption to get rid of them.
Yeah, we get rid of cabinet secretaries for taking the wrong flight.
Since they have no money, and 7 of his ministers was corrupt, whose money do you think they were spending?
Yeah.
Haley, you are supposed to be a diplomat.
UN
You're supposed
ambassador.
to know more about foreign policy than I do, and you don't.
Oh, come on.
And
No one
you
thinks she does.
and you are not concerned about corruption in Ukraine. You can love the Ukrainian people and be concerned about. In fact, if you love the Ukrainian people, you worry about corruption in the Ukraine. And I'm sorry, you don't have to go down the World War I propaganda thing, and we're going to claim they're honest because they're at war. I'm sorry. I mean, we've kind of gotten beyond. We've kind of gotten beyond lying like that. And we don't want, after Trump, we really don't want presidents like you anymore. Don't give me that phonier than thou. Ukraine, how could you say anything bad about the second most corrupt country in the world? It was until a year and a half ago. And with the 5 or 6 or 7 ministers let go all at once, sounds like it still is. And there isn't a single one of you on that stage that's got the guts to ask, let's see if the Fox moderators, who may have been the worst, by the way, by letting it go on like that, and by asking questions. I mean, there was one question that went on so long, the debate was almost over.
It wasn't a question. She wanted to get her opinion out there.
Yeah, it was a long speech.
It was a speech.
And she
They
was,
had a question inflection point at the end, right, to make it into a
and
question.
they were reading it. They were reading the question because it's so long they couldn't remember it. So, but I mean, nobody there, not a single one of them said, I will declare the winner of the debate, the person who can describe to me what's the role of a Ukrainian named Kolomoisky. If I say Kolomoisky, ladies and gentlemen, what does that mean to you? Probably nothing, right? Because you live in a censored country. You live in a country that's the equivalent of East Berlin under the Soviets, or a country that's the equivalent of China, or a country that's the equivalent of the America that our founding fathers feared would happen if there was a tyranny of the majority or a tyranny of the ruling party. Kolomoisky is one of the most important people in recent Ukrainian history. He is the reason why the Ukrainians are considered to be even better money launderers than the Russians. He ran a bank called Privat Bank, Privat, and he money laundered everybody's crooked money, including our present president. And he did it many times for our present president. Most of those suspicious action reports, of which they're in the hundreds, I think, a record for any single person, come from his bank, or one of his banks. Main bank being Privat Bank, and he's got one of them in every crooked country in the world, including Cyprus. He's got one, I think, in Luxembourg. We've got them all over. And if you go to his bank in Ukraine, you will see a large upstairs bank, I'm told with hundreds of computers. Each one of those computers represents separate phony companies through which he launders the Biden money, the money for other American politicians, English politicians, French politicians. Now, here's the real significance of Kolomoisky. He's the patron of Zelensky. He made Zelensky. Is he one of the most crooked men in Ukraine? Yeah. Is it a contest between him and Zlochevsky, the guy who paid off the Bidens, who's more crooked? Yeah. he's the one laundering Zlochevsky's money. He's the guy who could tell you probably from his head how much laundered money many of our, or I shouldn't say many, whatever American politicians got from Ukraine, he probably knows. And he's got Zelensky tied up like that. So is Zelensky honest? I personally don't know. Is Zelensky honest in terms of his connections in government? Completely crooked. Kolomoisky was barred from the country before his boy Zelensky was elected. And we give them money without controls on it. That should be like a flashing red light. Corruption, corruption, corruption. So when he raised that, he raised a valid point, and two people went nuts, Pence and Haley. Very suspicious. Worries me when I see, I'm sorry. It worries me when I see that. It really worries me that they're so defensive of any criticism of Ukraine, particularly in an area where if they truly are going to be our ally, and we really are going to consider their being in the EU, and I don't know if you want a war with Russia, NATO, bare minimum, they got to be honest. You know, the reason they're not let in is because they're too corrupt. You have to pass a test. And it can't be much of a test because a lot of those countries are corrupt anyway. You just can't be like terribly corrupt. You can't be like the second most corrupt country in the world. And I think we call them the second because we can't believe they're more corrupt than Russia. I don't know. Maybe there should be a fair test. I'm not sure. So let's take a short break, and we will be right back with some of the evidence against the person against whom there's no evidence. Towers Foundation delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices America's greatest heroes have made for us. Heroes who risked their lives to keep our communities and our country safe. Heroes like United States Marine Corps Captain and pilot John Jeremy Sachs. Captain Sachs sustained fatal injuries when his military aircraft crashed during training, killing him and 5 other service members. He's remembered by loved ones as courageous, brilliant, and devoted to his career, family, and friends. John is survived by his wife, Amber, who gave birth to their second daughter 3 months after his death. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on the family home for Amber and their 2 daughters. The foundation has helped over 1,000 military and first responder families navigate the worst of times by removing the burden of a mortgage payment. Our nation's heroes and their families need your help now more than ever. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. T2T.org. That's T, the number 2T.org. T2T.org. Please donate now.
And we're back.
So here we are back again, and it was 6 ministers that were removed by Kolomoisky's boy Zelensky, based on a long-running probe into corruption. So if they were corrupt, it means they were taking money, and if they were taking money, some of it had to be ours, right? Right? How much have we pumped in there? A lot more than we have any place in America, right? Because this is not an America First administration. This is an America Last, China First, Ukraine Second, things like that. So let's do a little review of the evidence that doesn't exist. So the Democrats today made a big deal. I just want to get something out here. The Democrats today made a big deal out of the fact that there's no direct evidence against Biden. Oh no? There's no evidence against Biden. Well, testimony against you is direct evidence. There is we see number 1 here on my whiteboard, 50% for Pop. You don't remember that as well as 10% for the big guy because they don't tell you that as much. In fact, they hid it for about 2 years, right, Doctor, when I would say this. Now they're using it a bit, but not the way they should, because this puts them right in the penitentiary. 50% for Pop. Now, where does that come from? 50% for Pop. I'll tell you where that comes from. That comes from oh my goodness, an email. And whose email is it? Hunter Biden. Do you know what that means? It comes in evidence. It comes in evidence as direct evidence. Dummy Raskin. It's called direct evidence. Half-wit lawyers. I would like you to read this if you can. It might be hard. It might be. I don't have my special. It's the one at the bottom, Ted. I love you all, but I don't receive any respect, and that's fine, I guess. Works for you, apparently. I hope you all can do what I did. This is direct testimony, and pay for everything for this entire family for 30 years. It's really hard, but don't worry. Unlike Pop, I won't make you give me half your salary. Now, I won't make you give me half your salary, 50% for Pop, half for Pop, for 30 years. That's a direct testimony. Hunter against him. You say, well, Hunter may be lying. Anybody giving direct testimony may be lying. Sammy the Bull may have been lying. I saw that man there shoot that man there. That's direct evidence. I gave half my money to that man right there. That's evidence. Is it true or not? That doesn't make it evidence that it's true. That's what the trial does. Evidence are facts that you put in at trial that are admissible. So you say, well, Hunter said he gave half his money to Pop. Maybe he didn't. He did. He did. Believe me, he did. But let's say he didn't. It's still evidence. What they're doing is right out of 1984. They're changing the meaning of words. Do you know how much evidence there is against Biden? It would, if I piled it up in front of me, you wouldn't see me anymore. What I just showed you, let me have it again, Ted. Now, you're going to say to me, this may not be true. Doesn't matter. A lot of things at trial may not be true. That's why people get acquitted. That's why I get to cross-examine for my client. The guy gets up there and points at Ted and said, Ted hit me in the face. That's evidence. I get up and say, you were in Japan at the time that you said that Ted hit you in the face. Oh, it still is evidence. Turns out to be untrue evidence, huh? But you got to do that second part before we can make it untrue. Nobody's done that second part. Nobody's rebutted this. Yeah, one more time, Ted, please. We'll just do the last line because that's the key line. The very last line, if you can hold it up there, says, it's really hard, but don't worry. Unlike Pop, I won't make you give me half your salary. So right now, unrebutted at this point is that Hunter gave half his salary to his Pop. That's evidence. Question is, what can you argue from that evidence? What inference can you draw from that evidence? That he gave half his salary to his Pop. Considering the business he was in, which was selling his Pop's influence. So now doesn't it prove that his father was sharing in the money for his influence? You put that fact, that evidence, together with his statement, my only asset was my father's influence. So that's all he earned his money for. Then half his salary is paying his father for his being able to use his father's influence to make his family filthy rich by selling out the United States. That's evidence. What I just did for you is what a trial lawyer does or an honest prosecutor. But then again, we have another one, don't we? We have the 10% for the big guy. Now, this was a separate deal that involved, believe it or not, money from our arch enemy, the Chinese communists. So first of all, it is a matter of grave concern to anyone but dishonest, dishonorable, and somewhat disloyal Democrats that this family undeniably got 20 to 30 million from the Red Chinese. So before we get to whether Joe got any of the money, the closest family members of the current president of the United States have been paid. I mean, I can show 30.5 million. I believe Comer still says 20 million from China. That alone should get you thrown out of office, shouldn't it? That your family got money from our biggest enemy that you lied about and concealed. That's not denied anymore. But the question is, did Joe get any of that money? Well, first of all, according to the unrebutted testimony through a text message that is an admissible piece of evidence at trial, he got half of everything. But on this one, he got a little bonus. What does that say down there, Ted? Would you read it for people? The last one? Just the one in yellow. Can you read the one in yellow?
10 held by H for the big guy.
So let's play a little game. I'm going to read it to you, and I want you and Maria to tell me who these people are, okay?
Okay.
That's 20% for H. Who's H?
Hunter.
Good. Really smart.
That's
Okay.
our guy.
Now, this might be a little tougher. 20% for RW. Robert Walker.
Robert Walker.
20% for JG. That's James Gilliard. 20% for TB. Tony Bobadinsky. And 10% for Jim.
That's the brother.
That's the brother. Okay.
That's the old brother.
And then 10% held by H for the big guy.
Joe Biden.
Right. Now, the undisclosed partner, I could put out the contract, but it's in Chinese, and I don't have the translation with me. The undisclosed partner in this deal with the family of our present president is Red China. They put in 50%, and they own 50%. And when the keys were given out, for this business that the big guy has 10% of, oh my goodness, they were very concerned about the keys because Hunter made it clear that the first two keys should go to the big guy and to his stepmother, the one who doesn't put out the stockings for her granddaughter, the one granddaughter she rejects, or step-granddaughter. Please have keys made available. This is to the person who was putting together the office for the Bidens having an office with the Chinese communists. This was just in 2017. Our present president was putting together an office with the Chinese communists. I mean, you like this as an American? And you're going to go defend this like those slimy Democrats did today? I want you to see this one now, too. Okay? See, what I'm showing you is something the Democrats never show you. It's called proof. The reason I can show you proof is so far in the 5 confrontations with them, I've been telling the truth, and they've been stinking liars, traitorous stinking liars, because I have proof. Never say anything without proof. That's why if they call me, I'll have to scream and yell so they don't interrupt me, but I'll come with all my documents and I'll stick it. You know where I'll stick this? You know where I'll stick this? So this little thing here is a memo because they're really concerned that the big guys get the best keys. please have keys made. This is for the new CEFC office, which is the partnership of the Bidens with the Red Chinese, the chief spy of China, and one of the top Chinese communists. Can you imagine our president having a partnership with them? And we tolerate it because we have a crooked Democrat party in charge of this country? So this is a September 21, 2017 memo asking for keys. This is from Hunter to Cecilia Browning, who is the in charge of the office, in charge of putting it together. Please have keys made available for new office mates. So here are the office mates: Joe Biden, Jill Biden, Jim Biden. Catch the next one. Gong Wen Dong, Chairman Yi, CEFC emissary. Chairman Yi is described as the richest man in China and one of the highest level Chinese communists in several texts from Hunter Biden. He is one of the highest ranking members of the Chinese Communist Party. His emissary, who will have an office next to Joe, Jill, and Jim Biden, virtually a member of the nice little communist family, is Gong Wen. See there? Can you see Gong Wen Dong there? I just want to say I'm not making this up, ladies and gentlemen. This would come into evidence. It's authenticated, believe me, 40 times. Do you think that, I mean, that alone should disqualify him as president? He's going to be an office mate with a Chinese communist and with his wife, right? I mean, that would fit because Jill Biden is very, very close to several very high-ranking American communists. I'm going to let you guess who they are. I would like the office sign to reflect the following: the Biden Foundation, Chinese supported. It's one of the places he put secret documents, by the way. Every place that Joe put his top secret documents, the Chinese have access to. No place that put any documents the Chinese have access to. Yet Trump is indicted and he's not. Plus, Trump has an arguable right to them as a former president. He had no right to them as a vice president or senator. In fact, as a senator, they would have to be considered stolen documents. Yet they haven't even haven't done a search yet. I mean, by this time, he could have destroyed everything. Then there'll be an office for the Biden Foundation for Hudson West. Now, Hudson West is, just in case you want to know what Hudson West is CEFC US. Now, they do have the good grace there to not list as, I think, one of the remaining partners in this. I could be wrong. He could have been out by then, but he had been a partner in Hudson West, was Whitey Bulger's nephew. Now, why the press doesn't like to tell you that the Bidens were in partnership with Whitey Bulger's nephew, I don't know. But to me, that's a newsworthy but highly prejudicial fact, isn't it? That he not only does business with international organized criminals, but with domestic organized criminals. Does it make the Biden crime family even that more of a crime family? I don't know. It certainly makes them the most perverted family in the history of the White House. And it says the lease will remain under my company's name, Rosemont Seneca. So Hudson West is the company where one of the partners is Whitey Bulger's nephew. Rosemont Seneca is the one where Kerry's stepson is a partner, who was the Secretary of State son when they put it together. A nice influence they're peddling, right? You got the son of the vice president and the stepson of the Secretary of State. You could pretty much cover any foreign bribe you had to with that one, right? They may have. Who knows? They made a lot of money. Kerry's son took off out of it when the deals got to be too crooked. Was he there for earlier crooked deals? I don't know. But did anybody ever question him? Did anybody ever question him?
That's a good one.
That's a really stupid. He's a Democrat. He's a Democrat. So we have, we'll hold up on our evidence now, but we have two pieces of evidence, right? 50%, half my salary for Pop for 30 years, 10% for the big guy. I added just a bonus evidence here, keys to the Chinese Communist office for Biden and for his wife and brother. And now I'm going to tell you, because I'm getting ready for it, that it is time for balance of nature. Ta-da-ta-da. It's time for us to share our balance of nature fruits. But I held up vegetables. Fruits. I'm getting like Biden. Fruits.
Come on, Joe.
Vegetables. Fruits. Vegetables. You have to have fruits and vegetables every day. They are necessary for you. It's where you get many, many of your vitamins and all the things that you have the 100 other pills for. But make sure you have an adequate and sufficient, and even more than adequate and sufficient amount of fruits and vegetables every day. And Dr. Maria, that can be done with balance of nature, correct? Mm-hmm. And all you have to do is go to balanceofnature.com, promo code Rudy.
That's right. Promo code Rudy.
35.
And we have a big audience tonight. Be sure to visit.
35% off. And based on last night and night before taking them, I got them down to much better. They're much better meringues now.
And of course, when you're supporting Balance of Nature and using that promo code Rudy, you're not only doing your health and body a favor, but you're supporting America's Mayor and everything he's doing here with America's Mayor Live. So please, please consider visiting balanceofnature.com. And the important part is using that promo code Rudy. So when you go to the website and you're looking at getting these important fruits and veggie supplements, I guess we'll call them.
What would you call these? Well, they're first of all, they're 90 capsules.
They're capsules. I like the
I
word
want you to know there are a lot of them in here.
They're supplements. You were right.
Okay. So these supplements, it's important. Please use that promo code Rudy. Again, you're doing your body a favor,
It says
but
on
you're
top
also
here,
supporting
real
America's
food.
Mayor Live. And that,
It says real food, real science, real nutrition.
okay.
And it says whole produce.
Great. Well, Balance of Nature, that's great. So please, and we're going to, sometime soon, we want to start doing our Balance of Nature Minute. And so we can all take it together.
See, Ted took away my whiteboard.
For the commercial.
That wasn't nice. I have a couple more. I'll go through them quickly.
For the ad, I was going to
Okay.
bring it back.
So now we're going to go to the tape.
Bring it closer.
So evidence number one, 50% of all income to Joe, who is the head of the organized crime family. 10% of the special deal with the Chinese communists for the big guy. We know that's Joe. Now we have Joe's confession. Let's play Joe's confession, which should have been played today if you wanted to stuff it up the lying Democrat's face.
I remember going over convincing our team, or others too, convincing us that we should be providing for loan guarantees. And I went over for, I guess, the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I said, I'm not going to, we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I looked, I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. got fired. And they put in place someone who was solid.
So evidence number 3, Joe's confession. Why is that a confession? It's a confession because it's a quid pro quo. Bribery is offering something of value in exchange for official action. The something of value is the $1 billion loan guarantee. The official action is getting rid of Shokin. He says, well, Shokin was corrupt. It turns out that that's totally untrue, provable now by tape recordings. But in any event, even if Shokin was corrupt, it's still, he had no right to intervene and have him removed based on extortion, holding back the money. That's bribery. He leaves out conveniently in the story that his son was a principal in the investigation, which is the motive that makes it corrupt, makes it with intent. Also, the false statements about not knowing about foreign dealings makes it corrupt. And we'll go into that in a minute. Here is another text that is evidence against Joe. I want you to read this very carefully because very few other people will show you this. Almost no one will show you this. Why? Because they protect him. I don't know that I can show it up there. I'm going to read it to you. This is Joe to his father in an email. She told my therapist that I was sexually inappropriate with, be a 14-year-old girl, when she says that I FaceTime naked with her. And the reason I can't have her out to see me is because I'll walk around naked, smoking crack, talking tom girls on FaceTime. Of which, by the way, there'd be no way the psychiatrist would know this if this weren't true, because there are numerous pictures of him, both still pictures and videos, of him walking around naked, smoking crack and talking to prostitutes in a home in which 2 minor children live, one of whom here he's being accused of abusing. When she was pressed, meaning the little girl, she said that I never said anything like that. The psychiatrist still maintains he should not be with the child, by the way. But here's the bottom line text that Grandpa does nothing about. But the bottom line is that I create and caused a very unsafe environment for the kids. He admits it. Nothing was done about this. This was covered up by the FBI, the Delaware police. The police have an absolute obligation to do something about this. They did nothing about it. And it's certainly evidence of a possible crime called child abuse or child pornography as well, if you link it with the pictures that I can't show you. Nothing done about it, covered up. I mean, they'll cover up anything. Disgraceful people, absolutely disgraceful people. And the people who defend them are even more disgraceful. They know that. They won't show you that because they're protecting these massive criminals. They would show you that anybody else. They won't show you that because they're protecting these massive criminals and trying to destroy Trump, me, others. Because I'm willing to tell you the truth. He's a danger to the kids. He admits it. There's a Burisma accountant ready to testify and give up the bank accounts where the money was laundered for the additional money, in addition to the $12 million that I count from Burisma. I don't know how much it is. Honestly, I don't know if she's telling the truth. I just know the FBI has never interviewed her. But she says it, which makes it evidence. And the fact that the FBI doesn't interview her tells me she's probably telling the truth. Right? Come on. Let's be realistic. There's the Latvia money laundering transaction, which I don't have with me today. I usually carry it with me. It's a one-pager. Latvian government writes to the, texts or emails to the Lithuanian government that there's a proven money laundering case that involves both Hunter and Joe. You could do that all by itself and prosecute the both of them just for that money laundering case. Anybody else would be, since it's a $14 million money laundering case, of which $3.2 million goes to the crooked Biden entities. There's then finally Joe's voice message, in which he makes it clear that he is aware of all of the Chinese involvement of his son, which is Joe in his own voice contradicting his many lies that he knew nothing about foreign transactions. Do you know how damaging that is in a court of law? There's something known as false exculpatory statement. A false exculpatory statement is when there's evidence that you lied about something material to the case. The 1,000 times in which he said that he knew nothing about his son's foreign dealings is a statement by Joe Biden. The following that we're going to play for you is direct evidence of proof that he's lying about that. I could get out the law books, but I think you'll trust me if I tell you that the law requires that the judge tell the jury that this is evidence of his guilt alone. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Hey, pals, Dad, it's 8:15 on Wednesday night. If you get a chance, give me a call. Nothing urgent. Just want to talk to you. I thought the article, at least has been online. It's going to be printed tomorrow in the Times. It's good. I think it's clear. And anyway, if you get a chance, give me a call. I love you.
So what that does is it establishes, and of course there's much more evidence than that, but I thought the most effective would be to give you the one that was in his own voice, that yes, he knew everything about the Chinese transactions, which means he's lying. He's lying when he says that he never talked or discussed or knew about the foreign dealings. But at the RICO trial that I anticipate, the judge would then charge the jury that they have to decide whether the statements are true or false. But if they decide that those statements are false, each one of them can be used as separate and individual evidence on which they can find him guilty of having the intent, the wrongful intent to commit the crime of bribery. My goodness, there's nothing more powerful than a charge like that. Well, let's take time out, and then we'll come back and we will wish you a good night.
The year is 2022. Cancel culture is the new normal. Online freedom as we know it has ended. Digital stockades are here. All activity is monitored, stored, and predictively analyzed by a technological cartel. We're being converted into a digital resource, a digital currency to be farmed for metadata and loaded into a computerized combine, blockchained to a social engineering operating system. However, it doesn't have to be this way. Be part of a new technological revolution. Right now, 1,000 test pilots have launched themselves into a new digital frontier, a private network outside of big tech control. New technology with state-of-the-art digital engagement and never-done-before security and privacy features that are now operational. With Quick's digital engagement, entertainment, communication, and commercial exchange will never be the same. We are QUX. Quicks. Advanced pre-release sales are limited to 3,000. Order now by visiting Quicks.tv. Get yours now before they sell out. Be part of a brand new online experience that you control.
Well, make sure you go to QUX.TV, promo code Rudy. Get your QUX box. You'll be able to get everything that's cut off for you, like OAN, for example, as well as Newsmax, and us. And also, you'll be able to do your own little broadcasting between and among each other, and you'll save a lot of money, and it'll be encoded and protected. So I hope we helped you here with a little summary of the evidence. This could go up to about 1,000. My job, if I took this to trial, would be to get it down to the best 30 or 40, 10 of which would be these. This might be enough, by the way, to convict them in front of even a prejudiced jury, because you change their prejudices at a trial, which you can do if you're a good enough trial lawyer, but it takes a really good one. So today, I think you see there's the evidence is mounting and mounting, and the pressure is getting greater and greater. And even if there was some confusion created today, it sure got through that he's up to his neck in corruption. And it's a tragedy that we have such a person in the White House. That's why we got to all stick together. We got to stick together for 2024. We've got to make we've got a lot against us because of the because of the Biden regime and all of their allies that make it one regime. We're like the French resistance, you know. We get out the truth. Myself, someday I'm going to get you. I'm do a big list. I hate to mention people because then I forget somebody. You know, Dan Bongino and Pags and Steve Bannon and people like that. Greg Kelly and the terrific Mr. Schmidt and Chris Salcedo.
We'll have him very soon. He's coming on, by the way, for
we love Chris
on the show, the 3 o'clock show.
But you know,
don't forget about Rita.
Rita Cosby.
Lydia.
Sorry,
we got to get all of our people in, right? Yeah.
But we're going to make a big list. This is where you're going to get the evidence that's kept from you, and you know we get it out. That's why Trump is leading by 10%. Somebody's getting the information, not coming from the media. Come from us. When I say me, I mean us. This whole group of courageous people. God bless you. Be on tomorrow at 3, WABCRadio.com, the free speech network. 8 o'clock, right back here. America's Mayor Live, except tomorrow we're going to be on early at 7, and we'll be having intermittent things between 7 and 8. We'll go to the show at 8, and we will be at America's First Warehouse, and it starts at 2:30 if you want to get there. And thank you, and God bless America. Our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able to apply our God-given common sense. So let's do it.